Okay, and so here we go. This is the beginning of threat assessment. Important series I think all players need just so that we can become better players. It's really hard when there's a lot of stuff on the board, trying to figure out what we need to watch, what we need to take care of, what problem cards are. And I think one of the best ways to do this is to start talking about problem cards, when they need to be removed, how they might be dealt with. And I want to start off this series with one of my favorite cards to play, Goblin Bombardment. Now, Goblin Bombardment is a red enchantment for cost 1 and 1 red. Reads, sacrifice a creature. Goblin Bombardment deals 1 damage to target creature or player. This is a low-cost creature sacrifice outlet that deals damage. The only time it's really safe to let this card resolve is if there's no way for the opponent to immediately activate it. Aggressive token and death trigger decks get a really serious advantage if this hits the battlefield. Even on an empty board, Goblin Bombardment requires a watchful eye. And it requires an instant speed answer before that player gets key pieces of their strategy online. As above mentioned, token and death trigger decks get a big benefit out of this. For instance, Ginny Fey, most token decks like Ginny Fey, they'll be playing cards like Doubling Season, Parallel Lives, Anointed Procession, and the new Mondrak, Glory Dominus. This will greatly amplify their token production. Goblin Bombardment increases their damage range by reducing the number of people they have to attack, all because they can just sacrifice tokens to deal the last few points needed to win the game. They don't even have to attack if they don't want to. This is an amazing way to deal damage. This is actually a strategy I use. I have a Dune Brood Nephilim commander deck. And Dune Brood, he is not a legendary creature, but he's a Nephilim from the original Ravnica set. So I play him as though he was one. He costs 1 black, 1 red, 1 green, and 1 white. He is a 3/3 Nephilim. Whenever Dune Brood Nephilim deals combat damage to a player, put a 1/1 colorless sand creature token into play for each land you control. So while he does have to connect, you can see how easy it is for him to get quickly out of hand. And there are lots of decks that just focus on making creature tokens. Cards like Krenko, the Mob Boss, making all of those goblins and then just sacrificing them in a Goblin Bombardment to finish you out. The other style of decks that we have are Death Triggers decks. And these next few cards are cards that are pretty popular in Death Triggers decks. Cards like Mayhem Devil for 1 black, and 1 red for a 3/3 devil that reads, whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. This really extends the range of Goblin Bombardment. Blood Artist, 1 and 1 black for a 0/1 vampire that reads, whenever Blood Artist or another creature dies, target player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. Pitiless Plunderer, 4 mana, 1/4 human pirate, costs 3 and 1 black. Whenever another creature you control dies, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap, sacrifice this artifact. Add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So this guy, as your creatures die, he ramps you. And Open the Graves, which is another damage extender essentially. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This card costs 3 and 2 black mana. So as you can see, while black has quite a few of these effects that just drain out or make tokens, it's not very hard to get additional damage and additional death triggers off of Goblin Bombardment, especially because it's free. It costs nothing to activate aside from just sacrificing a creature. As you can see, death trigger decks get an immense amount of value out of Goblin Bombardment. Whether they're sacrificing their creatures to drain your life total, create creatures and treasures, or draw cards, this free sacrifice effect gives them access that is only limited by their ability to abuse it. I'd built Judah the Scourge Diva on a low budget, around $40 to $50. It performed extremely well, holding off 2 other players trying to take me out with the threat of Goblin Bombardment and a board full of sacrifice fodder. This was after I had a pretty big turn and taken out the 4th player of the game. I didn't have quite enough ammunition to take out the other 2, but I did have enough to keep the other 2 at bay. Players that run Goblin Bombardment in their 99 include it for a reason. It's a powerful card, and when it hits the field, it should be noticed. It still requires other pieces to make it function, so I would say this isn't an immediate threat, but one to keep watch of. Let me know your thoughts on Goblin Bombardment. Thanks for watching. Let's keep assessing and improving our gameplay.